just have a bit of a chat about like kind of how you got into the industry that you're in, and any like challenges you faced and things like that, if that's okay with you.
Yes.
Yeah, brilliant. So you're a gaming lecturer at the university, that's right. How did you get into that kind of lecturer role? And yeah, tell me a bit about you, basically.
Mm-hmm. Well, I was always a gamer since my early childhood, because my dad was. So I used to play games with him, and then he got me my first console, and progressively I took it up as a hobby. So I was always interested in games as a hobby, but then I was also always interested in academia and wanted to become an academic. Originally, I studied translation, and I was a translator until very recently. But it wasn't something that was inspiring to me to progress further as a research subject. So at one point, when I was considering my options, I thought of games as a discipline that was, back in the day, and still is, relatively new as an academic discipline, and had room for potential and exploration. So I looked further into it. I had to do a second master's because coming from translation, I lacked many of the tools and skills associated with media theory or game theory specifically. And then I progressed to the PhD. And after I finished, I applied here, and here I am.
Oh, brilliant. That sounds great. Do you teach many like female students?
No.
Right.
Actually, I'm teaching both the undergrads, the first years, and the master students. For our master's cohort, there is no female students, no. For our undergrads, I think there are 4 or 5, but I can be mistaken because I haven't been in the class yet for the undergrads. So I can be mistaken, but I'm sure I remember seeing some in the introductory.
Does that surprise you at all, like that there's not that many girls, or would you like to see more girls going into this kind of like career path and industry?
Yeah, no, I would definitely like to see more girls. It is not surprising. It's unfortunate to say, but I know, also coming from a games course myself, how things are. In my cohort, I think we were a bit more. I think we're 2 girls out of 10 boys. So it was still not very well balanced, and especially the higher you get, and I think that's true for many other disciplines, not only games and computer science. So the lecturers and the faculty and staff are predominantly male, so it's not something that is very surprising. But I would definitely want to see more females or female identifying students, because games are an industry that they may have this stigma of being designed for males and adolescent boys specifically, but statistically, half of the people who play games are women. So women are gamers themselves, and there are very important game designers that are women. So having new generations interested in the subject and wanting to pursue it as a career can only be beneficial for everyone. Diversity is important for everyone. So yeah.
Yeah, definitely, I agree. And I think it's the same with, I study journalism, and I think there's only 2 female lecturers on my course. I think it's just like you said, the higher it goes, academia is like less women, which is a shame, but hopefully that will kind of change in the future of years to come.
Yeah, we can only hope and do what we can in our small sphere of influence.
Yeah, exactly. And how does it feel to be like a female lecturer here at the university? Do you find it quite like empowering to be like one of the like kind of female ones?
Yeah, first of all, I've been very welcomed by everyone, so I don't have any bad experiences with with none of my colleagues. It is a bit strange. It's good that because there was a new intake in February, and all three of the new recruits were women in the computer science, which was very positive. And going through the early stage of your experience of your career, having another female academic going through the same phases, it's always supportive and you feel more included. But I was asked by one of my colleagues if you feel that sometimes being a female, you need to prove yourself more. And it can be the case or the issue. And I think that there's some women that want to be respected for their work, and that is completely fine with me. But the other point of view, being respected because you're a woman in a male-dominated environment, I'm also fine with that as well. I don't care if I would like to open the doors to more women as much as I can, even if that means that I'm a bit ostracized or a bit uncomfortable in some situations. And there are times that I feel it might sound stupid. Like, for example, I would think, should I wear makeup to work? Should my appearance matter? Because maybe I would seem frivolous or not paying attention to the important stuff. Yeah. Not because someone else made me feel that way. It's my own thoughts, having grown up in a patriarchal society, which considers makeup, something not that important. But I try to subdue those voices and do what I want and what I like, and while proving that I have a reason to be here and my qualifications are on par with everyone else.
I see. That's really interesting. What kind of inspired you to get into the job? Except, was it just like the pure enjoyment of like the gaming itself, or yeah?
Having games as part of my personal enjoyment, of course, helped. But I also I think all early career academics have a vision. My vision is definitely to diversify games, both as an industry and as an academic discipline. My research is very, it tackles that. My research is about love in games and how representation of love and play and characters we interact with in a loving manner, how these dynamics affect the whole medium and the whole perception we have of it, and what games can offer. And they're not just about fighting and like killing other entities. They're also about making connections and have a social interaction with agents. So I would like to think that my research, together with my teaching, will have a small impact towards that direction. And yeah, also as a student, seeing a female as a lecturer, I think it can only help with identification and feeling included.
I see. Brilliant. That's amazing. And do you have any women that kind of inspired you to get into the job you're in?
The job per se, well, I admire some game designers and some game programmers that are female or identify as female. But in academia in general, yes. I remember I was in Germany in Erasmus, and I was being taught by this amazing professor in literature, nothing to do with games. But she was very engaging and very active and very close to her students while being a professor. So she was very accomplished and having a family and, being also good in her personal life. And I was looking at her thinking, okay, I want to be able to do that, like being very good at my job and have a good life and work balance without being that family is the goal, but having a good life and personal life and career balance is my goal.
I see. That's brilliant. And do you have any advice for girls who want to get into like the gaming industry or like computer science?
That they shouldn't feel intimidated, and that they should prove themselves all the time, that they should do whatever they like, because they're passionate about it. They should speak up if they feel at any point they're being harassed, misjudged, discriminated against. Um, they shouldn't hold back, and never let other people intimidate them and tell them what they can and can't do. They should do whatever they want, and if they are passionate about it, they'll find a way to do it. And having a supportive background always helps. So being supportive with one another is a key, I think.
Sounds brilliant. You sound really inspiring, lecturer. And yes,
thank you
so much for doing this interview with me.
Thank
I was
you.
wondering if you could possibly email me like a picture of yourself that I could use in the magazine, if that's okay.
Yes, definitely.
And I'll share it with you. It's not due until June. It's quite a big project, but I can share it with you once it's finished, if you like. So
yes, please.
See the interview and that kind of thing. So yeah, and my last question I'll finish off with, it's a bit lighter. What's your favourite video game at the moment?
Well, interesting question. Like, my all-time favorite game is Tomb Raider. And I know that Lara Croft has been criticized for being overly sexualized and basically a male candy for the male gaze. But for me, growing up, she was a role model of empowerment because she could do so many cool stuff that usually only male characters could do. And for me, she was very empowering. So yeah, Tomb Raider is definitely my favorite game of all times. One that I was very recently playing was Assassin's Creed Odyssey, which I also enjoyed a lot, again because of how strong the female character in that game was. That being said, I would like to mention that sometimes games that incorporate female characters tend to have them as, just a female version of a male representation. So they're always these bulky, very masculine energy female characters, and we need more than that. This is not the only way to have female characters, but yeah, it's also good to have some female representation as a part of the game itself.
Definitely, I agree with you on that. Well, thank you very much. I'll stop recording this now. That was a really